No matter how many degrees you earn or how many planets you visit, there is no academy, symposium, or orientation packet that explains what to do when you lose a chicken in a space station. That thought struck me at 4:30 standard station time while I was sprinting down Habitat Corridor C with a net in one hand, an emergency protein bar in the other, and our resident chicken turned astronaut flapping wildly just ahead of me. The overhead lights flickered to a sallow yellow and the intercom squawked a new alert. Zero gag anomaly detected Sector 12. All personnel secure loose items. That was the fourth alarm in 2 hours, all because of one rogue bird who apparently thought centrifugal artificial gravity was optional. Penny officially Specialist First Class Henrietta Poultryday III had been the pride of the Avian Adaptation Initiative, a proof of concept that even Earthbound farm species could contribute to long-mission missions. She'd passed every medical, worn the miniature pressure suit without pecking through it, and, more impressively, endured launch without a single indignant cluck. During the 6-week transit to the Cyclone 2 orbital research station, she'd lived in her custom coop, laying eggs that the nutrition team measured, cataloged, and occasionally devoured with ceremonial seriousness. But the moment our docking clamps kissed the station, Henny escaped. One second she was in her enclosure, staring with mild suspicion at her reflection. The next, she'd executed a hop, a wing flutter, and an improbable sidekick of the latch that would have impressed a kung fu master. She vanished into the warren of ducts and access tubes faster than you can say original recipe. I blame Sergeant Milo, whose job had been to ferry the crate from Module Lab to the Bio Lab. Milo swears he felt a sneeze coming and looked away for only half a heartbeat. By the time his eyelids reopened, Henny was nothing but a drifting feather in the starlit vent shaft. He has since vowed never again to ignore antihistamines. The first zero-gravity alarm came 26 minutes into the bird hunt. The station's central computer interpreted Henny's frantic flapping in the intermediate ring, where gravity decreases from 1G to 0 across 100 meters, as a sign that the habitat drum had decoupled. Low-mass feathery bodies evidently confuse motion detectors, so the system did what any self-respecting computer does: started screaming. When the anomalous inertial event klaxon whooped, we sealed hatches, ran diagnostics, and performed a full structural check. It took engineering 40 minutes to confirm that the only item moving irregularly was approximately 2.3 kilograms, oviparous and incapable of space piracy. Chief Engineer Okafor published an incident report that concluded, and I quote, "Possible cause, chicken." The station houses 312 humans, 11 robots, 2 lab mice, and, at last count, exactly 1 chicken. Losing 324 entities might have prompted a more dignified, calm approach, but losing just the chicken turned out to be a recipe for mayhem. Everyone felt compelled to contribute advice. Use barnyard pheromones, the botanist suggested. Put grain in the ventilation vortex, said the mechanical tech. Have you tried talking to her about her feelings? Asked one of the AI ethicists, who might have spent too long interviewing chatbots. Meanwhile, Henny continued her tour. The next surveillance sighting showed her floating elegantly past the panoramic holotheater, wings tucked like a stoic albatross. The following feed caught her commandeering a robotic vacuum, riding it like a hoverboard through the science wing. The vacuum in turn crashed into a rack of magnetic containment jars, releasing a cloud of microfungi that glowed turquoise under you. That earned us alarm number 2, biohazard vector detected, possible spore leak. Spores were neutralized, our chicken was not. I commandeered Beta Squad 3 security officers, 2 maintenance bots, and Milo armed with a bucket of corn kernels to perform a sector sweep. The plan was textbook: form a pincer at either end of Corridor C, herd Henny toward the pressure door, and seal it. Communication headsets chirped tactical jargon. We were professionals, albeit professionals playing cosmic hide-and-seek with poultry. Unfortunately, the station wasn't built with chickens in mind. Vents, stanchions, and emergency crawlways form a 3-dimensional labyrinth. Henny vanished into a duct thinner than a suitcase. Lieutenant Vargas shone a flashlight inside and reported feathers but no chicken. Milo sighed so heavily I thought his suit collar might buckle. I called Central Ops. Recommend we power down ventilation thrusters and sector ducts, I said. We'll flush her toward us with a mild airflow reversal. Copy that, replied Ops Commander Lee. Stand by for thruster reversal, 3% output. And Lieutenant, try not to scramble her. The pun stung. The airflow reversal worked, sort of. Henny shot out of the vent like a cork from champagne, bounced off Milo's helmet, ricocheted into the ceiling, and streaked down the hallway, flapping madly. She passed the threshold into the microgravity gymnasium where the station's rotational forces canceled. Detectors sensed her sudden vector change and assumed some mass imbalance. Zero-G alarm number 3 blared. Angular momentum spike gyro stabilization compromised. The alarm's automated message urges personnel to freeze all motion, which is exactly what Henny did not do. She pinwheeled through suspended treadmills, scattering water droplets and soccer balls. The station's resident journalist snapped a photo before ducking a kettlebell that twirled by like a deadly piñata. Later, that photo would become the highest-rated meme in the inner solar system, sectioned, "When Life Yeets You Into Tuesday." By this time, the senior staff had assembled in the command hub. Captain Reyes, whose composure under meteor showers is legendary, pinched her nose as though staving off a headache. Lieutenant Jacobs, she said to me, explain why an egg production prototype is hijacking my station. It appears, ma'am, I ventured, that Henny's presence in low G zones triggers false gravity alarms. Each zone thinks it's spinning differently. She closed her eyes. Our budget report is already overdue, Lieutenant. I'd like to submit it without the footnote, poultry incident. Yes, ma'am. We recovered the asset before another alarm cycles. Aye, ma'am. Another alarm cycled. This one preemptively declared an oxygen scrubber failure because Henny, in her panicked fluttering, had wedged herself half inside a CO intake grill. The sensor registered a blockage, assumed catastrophic filter collapse, and dutifully hollered, "Life support, risk deploy emergency masks." Captain Reyes buried her face in her hands. I give you 6 hours, Jacobs. Understood, ma'am. I assembled Gamma Squad 2 flight surgeons, a culinary specialist for moral support, and the station's newest maintenance robot, Squeegee ME4, who could squeeze through ducts and possessed advanced object recognition. I uploaded hundreds of chicken photos to its memory, including celebrity hens for variety. Squeegee reported 97.8% confidence in target acquisition. Confidence, I would learn, is a slippery thing. We tracked Henny's biometrics with thermal imaging until she vanished behind thermal exhaust lines where everything reads chicken warm. Squeegee beeped existential doubt. The culinary specialist offered to lure her with dehydrated mealworms reconstituted in hot sauce, apparently an avian delicacy. We arranged a decoy buffet by the greenhouse's sliding doors. Then we waited, silent except for Squeegee's whom. 10 minutes later, the doors hissed open. We tensed. Through floated Dr. Patel, the hydroponics chief, with a watering can. He spied the feast, looked around, shrugged, and sampled a worm. Right then, Henny erupted from behind the lettuce towers, leaping off Patel's shoulder and diving into the tomato grove like a feathered submarine. The surgeon yelped, "Intercept!" We lunched. The chicken flapped, tomatoes spiraled, and the greenhouse sprinkler system detected unauthorized biomass vibration, triggering a deluge. Water droplets formed shining spheres that drifted through fluorescent grow lights as though the aurora had come to dinner. Squeegee zoomed after her, arms swiveling like windmills. It collided with Patel, rebooted, declared "Oops," and knocked over a nutrient vat. Floating fertilizer joined the water globules, turning them swamp green. Somewhere in the mist, Henny clucked with what I swear sounded like mischievous laughter. Back in ops, sensors conflated the sudden moisture with a coolant leak near the power couplings. Alarm number 5 howled. Thermal runaway suspected, sealed Deck 5 immediately. Automated fire doors slammed down, slicing our pursuit team into 3 separated groups. Captain Reyes' voice thundered over comms. Jacobs, I am beginning to suspect that bird outranks you. Permission to escalate, I said. To what? Roast her? Negative, ma'am, though the cooks are volunteering. I request full station lockdown, 1 quadrant at a time. We'll shepherd her systematically. Reyes sighed. Granted. And Lieutenant? Yes, ma'am? Try offering her a promotion. Maybe she'll report for duty. We began Quadrant Sweep Protocol Alpha. Bulkheads sealed progressively so no creature, avian or otherwise, could backtrack. Squeeg E had recovered and now projected holographic corn kernels, hoping curiosity might lure Henny. For morale, the culinary specialist piped folk music into the corridors. Apparently chickens enjoy acoustic guitar. Who knew? Quadrant 1. Clear. Quadrant 2. Clear. Then as we approached the waste recycling carousel, Squeegee detected the target. 2.3 kilograms, high feather signature, low altitude. But as our luck ran, the recycling carousel rotated into the low G interface tunnel, where floor orientation shifts 90 degrees relative to the habitat drum. Gravity is a polite suggestion in that tunnel. Henny hit the turnover point, flapped, went weightless, and shot upward directly into the carousel's maintenance shaft. I cursed. Milo cursed louder. The shaft is lined with optical torque sensors because unbalanced loads can mess with the station's spin. Something as light as a screwdriver can trip them. Something as lively as a chicken? Chaos. Within seconds, alarm sirens crescendoed once again. Gyroscopic discontinuity, structural stress achieved. That speaker had never before uttered the final word achieved, which, in computer voice, sounded disturbingly proud of itself. Captain Reyes patched herself in. Jacobs, I know, ma'am. I can hear it. Tell me why the station thinks it's achieved stress. Because, ma'am, a chicken is now the centrifugal equivalent of a rogue planet. Her silence carried 10 gravities of judgment. 5 hours left, Lieutenant. We peered into the maintenance shaft via microcamera. There was Henny, perched on a beam between rotating drums, neck craned, surveying her domain like queen of the cosmos. She'd pecked lighting cables, inadvertently crossing wires and cycling gravity from 1G to micro every 13 seconds. No wonder alarms were ecstatic. She had become a living gravity glitch. I hatched, pardon me, a plan. The maintenance shaft includes safety tethering rails for technicians. If we could anchor at 2 opposite ports and launch a net with magnetic weights, we could snag Henny mid-flip. Timing would be everything. Milo volunteered, eager to redeem his sneeze incident. I paired him with Corporal Vega, the station's championship slingshot player. We suited them in lightweight EVA harnesses, clipped them to retractable reels, and loaded the net with soft magnets so it wouldn't damage hull plating. Squeeg E calculated spin tempo, 1 revolution every 1.8 seconds. That meant Henny became weightless every 9 meters of shaft length, her preferred glide zone. Ready, Mila whispered. On cadence, Vega confirmed. We watched through helmet cams. The shaft whirled in a dizzying ballet steel, pipes, feathers, steel. Squeegee counted down. 3, 2, throw! Vega released. The net unfurled like a silver nebula, magnets flickering. Henny noticed, clucked alarm, flapped sideways straight into the mesh. Magnets kissed beam and pipe, snapping tight. We had her, wings pinned gently but firmly. Milo reeled in, crowing triumphant. Vega pumped a fist. I exhaled my first calm breath in 4 hours. But chickens possess a hidden weapon, indignant squawk frequencies capable of baffling audio sensors. As Milo approached the access port, Henny unleashed banshee screeches. Nearby, the shaft's resonance sensors built to detect metal fatigue picked up the sonic vibrations and interpreted them as micro-fractures. Alarm number 7 roared. Hull breach, probable evacuate zone. Automated blast shutters began to close, slicing off Milo's exit. He reacted fast, clutching Henny with one arm, grabbing the tether, and leaping for the threshold. He cleared the closing shutter with centimeters to spare. Rolled, came up panting, and still holding the chicken. We manually overrode the lock, silencing the alarm before anyone fired escape pods out of sheer reflex. Henny secured, Milo reported, voice shaky but proud. Bring her to Medlab 1, I ordered. And for love of the cosmos, keep her calm. Medlab 1 doubles as the veterinary bay, though until that moment its only patients had been plants with vertigo. We sedated our fugitive with mild avian tranquilizers, chamomile vapor. Write that down, you never know. While she dozed under a heat lamp, Dr. Chen examined her feathers, determined she'd lost exactly 3 and gained precisely 0 injuries. "She's in better shape than half the crew," Chen announced, patting Henny's beak affectionately. Meanwhile, we had to address the technological aftermath. Each alarm had forced subsystems into fail-safe modes. Gyros needed recalibration, ventilation schedules had to be normalized, and the greenhouse looked like a compost tornado. In Ops, I filed incident report B1138, official cause, unsanctioned avian perambulation. Captain Reyes read the draft, shook her head, and added a footnote. Recommend future livestock possess GPS ankle bands, preferably welded. Then came the paperwork question. How do you discipline a chicken? Military codes lack sections on foul misconduct. Captain Reyes opted for remedial training. Henny would receive a tiny Velcro patch reading "Caution, loose inertial profile," and be fitted with a soft harness linking to the station's navigation grid. If she drifted where she shouldn't, the harness would gently auto-pull her back like those retractable dog leashes, only in 3 dimensions. Before implementing the harness, we needed to test station integrity. That meant activating every sensor and verifying they no longer shrieked at chicken mass. We placed Henny, still drowsy, in a transparent bubble sphere the avian mobility orb designed to let her walk on the inner surface like a hamster. We floated the orb through various sectors. No alarms. Success. But, because the universe adores irony, our final pass through the central atrium coincided with a delegation visit from Earth's Interplanetary Grant Committee. 10 dignitaries floated in pressed suits, evaluating our non-traditional life science endeavors. Just as I prepared to greet them, Henny awoke, shook off the last of her chamomile fog, and unleashed the loudest, most triumphant crow a chicken has ever produced. The orb amplified it like a concert hall. Startled committee members spun, briefcases drifting like constellations. I cleared my throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Specialist First Class Henrietta Poltriday III, integral contributor to our station's inertial diagnostics." Their leader blinked. "The chicken?" Indeed, she recently assisted us in a full system alarm drill, real-time, unscripted, thoroughly comprehensive. Thanks to her, our safety measures are more robust than ever. To my astonishment, they applauded. Apparently, grants love innovative hazard simulations. They scribbled notes, complimented the creativity, and asked if they could take selfies with Henny. Within minutes, she'd become a celebrity again, this time intentionally. The committee departed, promising additional funding for cross-specs operational research. Captain Reyes raised an eyebrow at me, but withheld both reprimand and praise. Sometimes command is knowing when not to speak. Life returned to something approximating normal. We patched tomato leaves, sterilized fungus jars, and cleaned rogue fertilizer from ventilation grates. Milo erected a miniature coop in the biolab with reinforced smart locks. Twice daily, Henny receives free-range exercise in her avian mobility orb, flanked by 2 junior officers wielding grain dispensers like honor guards. So far, no alarms. Weeks later, a data packet arrived from Earth headquarters. The subject line read, "Congrats on successful emergency drill." Attached was a commendation for the entire crew, chicken included, and a directive to document standard procedures for Gallus domesticus in microgravity. I was tasked to draft the manual. Chapter 1, do not, under any circumstances, sneeze while ferrying the crate. During off-duty hours, I sometimes visit Henny, who now peers through her glass orb with calm wisdom. I swear she understands the cosmos better than we do. She survived supersonic ascent, zero-G calisthenics, and the bureaucratic storms of alarm protocols, all without a translator or opposable thumbs. Maybe she wasn't lost. Maybe the station was. She simply found the glitches we'd overlooked. Yesterday, I asked Dr. Chen whether we should consider more avian crew members. Chen smiled ruefully. 1 chicken is a problem. 2 chickens is a pattern. 3, that's an ecosystem. Let's not spend it on barn fowl before the paint dries. So for now, Henny remains our sole ambassador of cluck. The alarms stay quiet, the gyro holds, and Milo religiously double-checks every latch. Still, whenever I walk the hush of Corridor C at night, I remember the clamoring sirens, feather confetti, and weightless tomatoes. I tap the comm panel just to be sure it bears the new advisory engraved in bold letters. If you hear clucking, verify gravity before panicking. It's good advice, trust me.